All right, an absolute game changer in the streaming wars is Apple looks like the likely destination for NFL Sunday Ticket at an eye-popping price. Josh Schafer here with the latest on that. Josh, it was Amazon, it was Apple, it was what we believe Disney Plus / ESPN.
Right.
But when cash is king, Apple rules.
Apple normally is going to win that race, right? And it seems like that's where they are right now. We've had analysts tell us in the past that they're in the winner's circle. A report coming out earlier this week that says that it's likely Apple. Now, all of these reports noting there's no deal signed, but that they probably are the most likely candidate. It sounds like there were some conversations at the Sun Valley conference, and that's sort of what expedited this. And it seems like Apple's in the winner's circle at close to $3 billion, Dave. It's a huge number. It's a
massive,
triple what DirecTV is currently paying for NFL Sunday Ticket. So we're talking about a big, big payday. But when we think about Apple and we think about all the different things Apple does, an analyst was quick to tell us earlier this morning, it's still not really that big of a deal for the stock. It's not going to be a big impact on what Apple is doing. It's exciting to talk about Apple coming into sports and what that means for the sports world. But when we think about Apple and we think about a $3 trillion company, I wouldn't be going and buying Apple stock because they're getting into the NFL.
Yes.
Is sort of what these analysts are saying.
And Josh, when we talk about bidding on some of these streaming rights and things, I want to turn to soccer or football, my first love. Talk about what's been happening with the UEFA Champions League and the bidding that we're seeing there for those rights.
Yeah, Rochelle, that was something that was pointed out this morning, too. In America, we love to talk about the NFL. It is huge, and football is huge. But American football is not really the biggest sport in the world. It's soccer. And when we talk about the Champions League, it looks like these rights are going to be at about $2 billion for a 6-year deal. And the companies that are involved in this are a wide range of kind of the streamers we've seen in the past. Apple, Amazon. Amazon already has these rights overseas, so we should note that. And you look at the board there, you got Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Comcast, which has Peacock, which has the English Premier League, so a soccer tie there. Would be interesting, too, guys, to go back to Apple. If Apple were to get this, because they do have the MLS already, right? So maybe they can kind of corner the American soccer fan in some ways. If you have MLS, which has, a growing fan base, we can say.
Small, but growing, yeah.
Champions League, huge fan base.
Yeah, well, Apple certainly has an edge, like Dave was saying, because they have so much cash on hand. But when we're talking about the sports rights, they're very, very expensive. And today we got some news from Disney. ESPN Plus is actually going to be raising its prices pretty substantially. What, $6.99 to $9.99?
$9.99, John. $9.99. And
who's going to pay that?
It's up 43%. And you mentioned the cost. And that's exactly what Disney pointed out in their earnings last quarter. They lost their operating loss was up to $1 billion pretty much in direct to consumer. And when they talked about what they lost at ESPN Plus, they cited higher sports programming costs. They're paying a lot to get these leagues and get teams on air. Now, what their argument here is they are getting more things on air, right? We saw them add the NHL this year. They've had more PGA content, and they're adding certain sports teams. So that's their argument to sort of grow this. And I think eventually the plan is, so they've said, it's going to be an a la carte kind of product where you can just get ESPN Plus. If you're a sports fan, that's all you're going to need, and you won't need cable. I'm going to guess it's going to cost more than $9.99 if they get there.
But now you're factoring it in right next to Netflix and the other streamers.
The same price.
That's a
the same
tough
entry
sell.
price for Netflix at $9.99.
Right. With a tenth of the content, that is a tough sell for even sports fans.
You're probably not
like
showing your
us.
little kid something on ESPN Plus, right? It doesn't get you the same value.
All right, Josh Schafer, good stuff. Thank you.